Hi everyone and welcome to Season 1, Episode 9 of Reputation Rebuild at Auxerre with me, the United City FM. Welcome along. So, form has been pretty good since we changed the tactic just before last episode. Haven't lost a game yet whilst playing it. Drawn a couple. Our league position hasn't changed too much, but we are much closer in points terms to the teams above us. Today we try and continue the good form against Le Mans in Ligue 2. Let's see how we get on. So as I say, form has been pretty good. We have drawn a few games. Just as we turned the corner for the tactic, we drew a couple of games, including the last game in the last episode, should I say, against Clermont. But since then, we've gone on a pretty decent run, 3 games in a row won, but what I would say is it looks slightly better than maybe it is, only because in this sort of set of fixtures here, these 3 teams are all pretty much in the bottom 3 or 4 of the table and didn't really trouble us too much, although you can see we only squeaked a win in a couple of them, especially this one with an 84th minute winner, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 0-0. It's not been fantastic, but it has been points on the board, which has been really important. Today we play Le Mans. If we go and have a look in the competition page, you'll see that they're sitting in 10th, whereas the likes of Rodez and Châteauroux, Paris FC were all sitting in the bottom 3 or 4 when we played them recently. So slightly harder opposition today, but still doable. But what I said in the intro is right. Our league position has only been boosted by maybe one place. But look, we are so much closer in terms of being able to get back into this top 3 or 4. We are 4 points behind 3rd place, 5 points behind 2nd place. So there's some good movement possible here if we continue with a good run of form. Today, slightly trickier than it has been though. So let's see how we get on with Clermont. Let's get into the tactics page and find out what we've got in store for them. So we've basically got 2 things that we need to figure out for today's game. And the first is quite simple in that Botto is out with a slight conditioning issue. He's played a lot of games recently and just worn himself out. So today Bernard comes into that left full-back position. Hasn't been quite as good as I wanted him to be, Bernard, but he's been okay. So he comes into that fullback position. The other issue that we've got is that whilst Yanis has got a decent average rating and has got 9 goals in 15 games, which is great, finding a partner to play alongside him and getting them to combine well has been a little bit tricky. If we look at Le Bihan here, he's more of a target man, so I'm not so bothered if he's not scoring bucket loads of goals, but he's only got 1 assist as well as 5 goals in 28 starts for us. Not quite good enough. The other one, Sorgic, who started the season as our number 9, has just not really done it well enough. 5 goals in 23 appearances for him. If we go and look on our direct sub bench at the moment, Yatara 3 in 4 but 16 sub appearances, so it's not quite as good as it looks. And then the final one is Dujimon, and he's got 5 in 8 starts but 19 sub appearances. So none of them are particularly lighting the place up, other than Yanis, who's doing pretty well for us as a youngster, really. And he's improving all the time, so that's really encouraging to see. So we've still got to figure that one out a little bit in the summer when that comes up, the transfer window. And the other thing that we've got to figure out as we move forward is because we've changed the tactic and the formation, these 2 players here don't quite fit the positions necessarily that we really want them to play. We might have to think about reshaping our midfield in terms of personnel for next season just to play this setup slightly better than we can at the moment. But we're getting by with it. You can see in the fixtures that we've looked at already that we're just squeaking a few results, which is fine. Today, we might need to be slightly better than that, though, to get the result, because Le Mans are sitting mid-table just a little bit behind us. And it's a bit of a step up in quality than the teams that we've played directly recently since this change of formation. So all of that means that other than Botto, we've basically got our starting 11 and sub bench out. on the pitch. So we've got Michel in goal, Brigori and Suprayan in central defence, Setou at right back, Bernard at left back, Adiotti, Belogu and Ngando, Saki in central midfield, with Lebihan and Yanis up top, and a bench of Wilson, Gaspar and Dom, Toure, Sylvestre, Dugimon and Yatara. Excuse me. So let's get into today's game and see what happens. So we had to go with it, didn't we, really? Assertively, I fully expect you to keep our run going and win this match. That's what we want them to do today. So we'll go and see how we get on. Away from home, tricky. Le Mans sitting mid-table, slightly sort of tricky. We don't quite know how they're going to be. But we've been on decent form. We just need to keep that momentum moving forward and not do what he just did and make a silly error out wide right on the fullback position, give the ball away and almost give them a goal in the early stages of the game. Cross comes in, header goes at the goal, but actually it doesn't. It goes sailing over the top and we can sort of breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief on that one. But it came from an error and we're still making too many of them in our own play that give the opposition too many chances. That time, though, they just dug out a decent opportunity for themselves with a sweeping cross. The defence really weren't as lively to it as I wanted them to be. There's a good ball down the right-hand side here, drops it back, the cross comes in, it takes out all of the defenders. Our right fullback, Setou, didn't seem to be aware of the person behind him making the run, and they came in straight on goal, no messing about, into that far post. That near post, should I say, which should have done better for the goalkeeper, but he didn't, and we go 1-0 down. It's disappointing. This is what's been happening, though. We've been squeezing out results in this new setup, not looking amazing doing it, and at some point somebody was going to come and cause us a problem, and so far you can see that 9-10 shots at goal for 2 for us means that Le Mans have absolutely dominated this first half in terms of chances created. We've been having possession, but it's been very, very toothless. Nothing really to shout about at all. So we're going to have to go in aggressively. I want to see a better performance in the second half of the game. And then what we're going to do, we're going to go into the tactics. Just have a look here. And what we're going to do is we're going to move it into the positive. We're going to go and have a look at some of our instructions. Let's see what we can do to slightly improve this. So we're going to raise the tempo a little bit, put the pressure on them hopefully, and let's counter press a little bit and see if we can pen them in somewhat in their own half. And possession, I think we're high enough up the pitch, etc. So we're going to up the pressing intensity. And yeah, that's what we're going to do just at half time to see if we can make a slight change and just push them in a little bit and see if we can get the ball higher up the pitch ourselves and try and create a couple more chances. This tactic is still being tweaked and poked and prodded in terms of the instructions and how I want it to play, but I think the general shape is better for us than what we were doing before. It's just about getting a little bit of good fortune and working hard to try and find the opportunities. And today, as is always the case, this is my problem. The strike force isn't quite working out and their ratings are fairly low, but so is midfield really. There's nobody that's really shining today, so how do we change it? I think we're going to take both top men out and give Dugimon and Yatara a chance, and then we either take Belogu out or Saki out. Saki's very important to us. I'm going to leave him in and hope that he can find some way of impacting this game. So we're going to put Toure in central midfield and just give him a run out for the last sort of 20 minutes or so of the game and see if some new fresh legs in the midfield area can help us. Let's see if we can put the slight counter press on them. We're sitting back a little bit, which is a bit disappointing. But hopefully we get a foot in somewhere and nick the ball from them. But they have worked it very nicely. There was an initial shot and it got blocked. But they're through again on goal this time. The goalkeeper, Michel, manages to narrow the angle and push the ball out for a corner kick. But we're still under pressure, aren't we? Unfortunately, it's the way this game has felt that it's gone. They're creating the chances. That one particularly wasn't a great corner kick, though, was it? So Michel can come out and claim it. I was hoping he was going to set us up on an attack ourselves, but he didn't. And we've got 5 minutes left, and I can't get to the shouts. Demand more. It's a bit late. I missed my button press, unfortunately. And we lose. And we lose again on an episode, which is just driving me to distraction a little bit. But it doesn't necessarily surprise me. As I said, we've been average for the last few games in terms of our performances, but we've just nicked those goals. And today, Le Mans just nicked that goal and they won the match. Let's spend some time analysing quite where it didn't quite work out for us today. So we're actually going to start on the summary page. This is kind of interesting and it proves what I've been saying really. We did okay, and this is how we've been doing for the last few games, and we've just had the better of those results and not today. Shots, they had a few more, they had quite a few more than we did, to be fair, but they didn't have as many on target really. 50-50 on target. And possession was pretty much 50-50 as well, and the average ratings, that's where we didn't quite have somebody that could take the game by the scruff of the neck like they did. They had a couple of higher average ratings than we did, and yeah, they just slightly played better than what we were able to do. But overall, the game stats suggest that it was fairly close and a little bit drab, I would suggest, other than a decent few chances for them. Heat maps, interesting. There's lots of play in the centre of midfield, which is kind of what you would expect, really. We dominated the midfield area in terms of possession. We just didn't do much with it, which is disappointing. Worked more so down the right-hand side with Situ overlapping, I guess, but that didn't quite work out for us today. So what about the actual elements of our game? Let's go and have a look at the off-target shots. We'll just focus on our own. So we had 2 off target, but it's this one, the saved chances. So the goalkeeper had a decent game. Whenever we created a chance, we peppered his goal a little bit. Didn't quite manage to break through though, and 1 block shot as well. So not too bad, but that goalkeeper obviously was just on a bit of inspired form. Let's go and have a look at the intercepted passes. Few too many in this kind of area. I would have hoped for a little bit more accuracy, but actually what I would say is one of the things that we need to improve over the summer for this formation and tactic to move forward and be better is we need better passing in the centre of midfield. It's not our strong point at the moment, but hopefully it will be in the long term. Out of play, few too many again, especially working down this left hand side. Remember, we worked a lot down the right hand side. Possibly one of the reasons it wasn't as balanced was because we couldn't get the ball accurately out to our left fullback, which on this occasion was Bernard. So maybe that was one of our disconnects. All of these passes down here probably trying to get to our left fullback and didn't quite manage it. So the accuracy of passing is one thing that we need to figure out, and I think it's only going to come through better personnel in that central midfield area. Let's look at set pieces today. Don't look at them too much. Let's see how we got on with our set pieces. So we had a number of throw-ins down both left and right hand side. Didn't really manage to make the most of it. Maybe we should be going slightly longer with our throw-ins in this sort of area, maybe. Something to think about. A couple of attacking free kicks, and this again is one of those random things, isn't it? I know it's more in the defensive area once you set up your free kicks, but a chance to get it in the box, we should be taking it really, even though it was slightly central and quite a distance. Just get it up there. We play a target man, for goodness sake. We should be trying to work on that. This one obviously out wide right from Saki did that, but not the more slightly further back one. Defensive free kicks, well, okay, those cleared very nicely into an area where you would hope that we'd manage to do something with it. And our corner kicks. So we only had 4, so we're not working these sort of areas enough because we don't play wingers. I guess that's always going to happen. So our fullbacks maybe are crossing from slightly deep at times. So we're not really pressing in on the corners maybe as much as other formations would. So I'm not sure there's much we can do about that. Let's go and find one more thing, and let's have a look at our goalkeeper and see how he did. So he saved and held 3 shots. He also parried another 1, and he tipped over 1. So he did okay. They had 5 shots on goal, didn't they? That's what it suggested, I think, in the summary page. And here's the 5, but they also got 1 on in the goal. So how does that work? That you get 5 on target and he manages to save 5, but then the 6th one goes in. Summary page, 5 shots on target. Yeah, weird. One of those random things about Football Manager occasionally that don't quite add up, but okay. So that's it really. That's what we've discovered really, is that we weren't accurate enough from our central midfield area with our passing specifically, and I do believe that that's only really going to improve through different personnel maybe. And it was specifically out wide to the left. We're not quite getting the corners and the throw-ins to work for us necessarily, and our free kicks. So maybe set pieces is something I need to go in and rearrange a little bit. I might do that between now and the next episode. In general, this is kind of what it's been like in this formation and tactic. Maybe the instructions are not quite right. Maybe we need to be a little bit more forceful on the game and push them in a little bit more than we are. Something to think about. But in general, up until this point, results have gone for us in this structure, but only narrowly, and today, narrowly, it didn't quite. So I feel a little bit hard done by that, just because of the good run of form, but ultimately, that's just part of how the game works sometimes, isn't it? So we'll say, I think we'll go with I'm disappointed with your performance, just to try and G them up a little bit, give them a little bit of a kick to get going again. And we drop down a place. We're still in contention with these playoff spots, though, with a few games left. What's that? Half a dozen games left. So we'll have to see how that goes. But what are we going to come back for next episode? We'll just go through the news feed. See, this is the problem we've got, isn't it? Lebihan vows to end his goal drought. Dujimon vows to end his goal drought. The strikers are not doing it. Goalless Yatara worries Auxerre. The only one that's ever getting goals is the youngster Yanis. The others are not doing it. There's some decent enough support play from some of them, but not fantastically. They're not really assisting either. So another area that we have to rejig, I think, in the summer months, but that's something we'll have to focus on next time. What are we going to focus on next episode? Let's go and have a look. So we'll basically be coming back for the final Ligue episode of this particular season against Chambly. Now, hopefully, it leads into a playoff spot. And so the season will then move into the playoffs, and we'll play a couple of them on the episodes as well. But up until this point, we don't actually guarantee ourselves of that yet. So what we have is one more game in the actual Ligue season to come on the next episode. A few games in between that hopefully we can pick up enough points to put the pressure on those playoffs. And then at the end of our first season together, hopefully we can get a bit of positivity by doing well enough in the playoffs. Whether we go up or we don't, I kind of think we need another year down, to be honest. Although it seems really weird because Auxerre should be a side higher up than they are. I think we need to get a slightly better midfield together and at least one decent striker in that's going to actually score goals for us, and then maybe we'll be ready for charging against the playoffs. But we'll see. If it comes our way and we get into the playoffs, of course we'll try our very best to get up, and then we'll just have to see what happens from there. But anyway, that's basically going to do it today. Chambly next episode, final episode for the Ligue season. Hopefully it leads into the playoffs. We don't look at the finances of the club because they're not very good, but hopefully in the summer I'll sort that out as well. Between now and then, we've got more games to play though, more points to pick up, see if we can put pressure on those playoff places. Come back and join me next episode, see how we've got on and how the season actually ends. But thank you very much for joining me today. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and join my United City community. The more the merrier. Click that like button for me. That helps me get seen by lots of other people. Until next time though, take care of yourselves. I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.